exercise outside without having the chains on their ankles because it was enclosed and they couldn't escape there. So that was a newfangled detail back in the 1880s. Whenever the jail left to their new jail in 1978, the city tried to sell the building. They couldn't sell it because it was in a sad state of repair, so they gave it to the SCAD, the Savannah College of Art and Design. They did as they always do with our very large buildings. They keep it historically correct, and they also make it into something very useful for the students' classrooms called Habersham Hall. Again, SCAD has restored about 70 of our buildings. That's why they need their own bus line, because it's all over the city. The campus is all over the city. Now, if you would look to your right here, other than guy sunning himself on the bench, don't look Ethel, but over here to the right, you know, it has a very long piece of lawn. It used to be the old dueling grounds back in the day. Gentlemen in the 1800s did not fist fight, that was a coup. They preferred to shoot each other and kill each other in the duel instead. So, the loser did not have very far to go. Yes, good location. Well, that's what they say, location, location, location. It's our Colonial Park Cemetery. This has been here for a long time, used from 1750 to 1853, over a century. Now, you see it's got these brick family crypts inside of it here. There was about 9 family members. The crypt didn't build itself into the fence. The city moved the fence back about a block to build a road and the buildings here, and a block that way. They built the fence around that crypt. But this is our Stop 14, Colonial Park Cemetery. Now, this is also, if you wanted to go see the church, this is the first building built by African Americans. They were slaves from the Brandon Plantation. They had to work all day long on that plantation, and then and only then were they allowed to come in and work on the church at night. Worked a whole lot by candlelight, but they finally completed their church by 1859. Wow. Every street around here is blocked off. But one of the most historical significance of the First African Methodist Church is that it used to be part of the Underground Railroad. During the Civil War, they hid people underneath their floorboards, and while they provided ventilation and way to pass food and water is, there were some hoses that were bored into the floorboards of that church. If you're up on the balcony looking down, you will see that they were, one particular night, the Savannah Light Theater, they have the Savannah Light production, can't be missed. It is a lot of fun, so just something to do. Now, something about Forrest Gump, what they used to do, whenever the movie was being filmed, they reversed the traffic on the square here. Messed so many people up for so very long. They wanted the bus to stop right in front of the bench and have its door. Now, look over there on your right. See those downspouts? On that one and on this one on this particular house? Those are called dolphin downspouts. Yes, they look like catfish, but they're called dolphin downspouts. We're in Port City.
We walked through
We
here,
have
Chippewa
sailors
Square.
and pirates out there. A sailor and a pirate is a very superstitious. Richard Kessler, yes.
And this is a private home.
That's a private home to Jay.
One family.
One, yes. I know. I always used to say that nobody should be that rich.
That's right.
Nobody.
You got it. I mean, they are, but you can share.
Well,
There's some students in.
I'm not for socialism, but but I think he has enough. And he gets richer every day because Jane of Marriott is attached to Planet Riverside, that museum down there on the planet. It is just grand. That's all I can say for it. It's grand. Now, on our left is our Forsyth Park, and you'll get a view of the fountain on Forsyth. Now, that fountain was actually ordered. It may cross in front of us, it may not, but you can see it as we turn. I want you to remember what that purple and green bus looks like, because we'll talk about that a little bit later. The city provides that trolley to hop on and off free of charge. As we turn, you see that sign, it's got a purple dot on it. That's how you know when the stop is. But we'll talk about that later. But the city of Savannah, being the hospitality city, provides free transportation. So over here on the right here is the quintessential Victorian architectural style with the beautiful gingerbread.
Yes.
Oh, so as we're crossing our Forsyth Park, we'll get another view of that fountain at Forsyth. That fountain is the most photographed place in the entire city. The park also has a restaurant. It's an indoor-outdoor seating, breakfast and lunch. It has 2 playgrounds for the kiddos, a splash pad during the summertime. There is a fragrance garden here dedicated to the visually impaired. There's braille on the inside so that these individuals can read the flower that they're smelling. And in the center of the square is a statue dedicated to the Georgia Confederate soldiers that lost their lives during the Civil War. That statue was the daughters and the wives wanted that statue to be made out of Canadian sandstone. But when it came back here about 10 years later after it was completely sculpted, that they stipulated that statue should come back to the Atlantic Ocean instead of over land, because their statue was never going to touch northern soil. But you know what though? We don't know how many people actually knew it. But the sculptor of that statue was actually from New York City. A Yankee did touch their statue. Now here's not something you don't see every day. This is called a century plant. And
Oh, yeah.
there's a lot of them out there, but they only bloom every 30 to 100 years. Yes. So it's ready to be, once it blooms, it'll die off. And it creates a big old hole in the ground, honestly, because it's died. But yeah, it only blooms ever so often. Now we're coming to the end of Forsyth Park. It's also signifies the end of the original 24 square plan that Oglethorpe laid out in 1733. Now, Forsyth Park is a 30-acre park. It is a true park. Some people feel that it is one of the squares, but it is not one of the 24 squares. They're separate from the park here. The park is named after John Forsyth. He was a past governor of Georgia, a statesman of Georgia, and Secretary of State under President Andrew Jackson. Old Hickory himself from the war of the New Orleans battle, the Battle of New Orleans, down in 1814. The statue over to the left, that is commemorates 4 Georgia soldiers. This one commemorates the one that's fought down in Cuba during the Spanish-American War. It's nicknamed the Hiker because in Cuba at that time they didn't have horses, so they had to walk everywhere they had to go. Now, let's go back and remember that big yellow house that belonged to Mary Telfair with the 5 statues in the front of it. Mary, they did a redo in 2000 to the tune of $11 million. $11 million bought their 85 stained glass windows and Stations of the Cross from Austria over in Europe.
Wow.
This is our stop 7, the Catholic Church. The Hitch restaurant is just 1 block over on our left. Now, as we pass here to your left and your right, you're going to notice these arched doors. These were all cotton warehouse back in the day. And those bridges on each side of this, the ironwood bridges, that's called factor's walk. Because a factor is a broker, or a cotton factor or cotton broker. They would bid on the cotton whenever it was pulled beneath them, and they would immediately put the cotton into the warehouse and shipped all over the world. Also, Factor's Walk was to bridge the High Bay Street with the buildings on River Street. So they took the cotton across that bridge and brought it down into the warehouse. This is River Street, which was completed in 1843. And the last cotton warehouse closed here in 1953. Now, when you're getting off here at stop 11, where you get back on at, you'll find yourself all throughout the city. You can find yourself here again later because after the service, they open it back up. And but sometimes if you find yourself over there, in like a block in front of us here, that's our stop 14. the Colonial Park Cemetery. If you want to get off South 14, walk a block back. Behind here as well. Okay, welcome aboard, guys. My name's Linda, going to be your conductor for this part of our tour. Because of how high the topography is here, this is why Oglethorpe chose here to start the new colony, because he was supposed to be a military endeavor here, and the high bluff gave him a lot of good military advantage to be able to see the ships coming in from the ocean and coming down from the river there. Now, if you would look over to your left, you're going to see a concrete bench. That concrete bridge commemorates where General Oglethorpe and Chief Tomahawkee met the very first time. That is where he camped out. He was here for about 10 years until he fell in love with Dr. England. But he stayed in a tent his entire time. He never stayed in a home or built a home here. They made them give up their property, and they were awarded as payment for the services in the war to the generals and the officers during each war. So he got the Mulberry Grove plantation, but he was a Yankee from Rhode Island, and he didn't know how hot and bad our summers are down here. He went out riding one night. He went to a neighbor's farm, and he was surveying the rice crop out there. He didn't wear a hat, and he succumbed to heat stroke, unfortunately. He left a young wife and 4 small children. Now, widow Catherine was going to educate those children, so she found a tutor. Her tutor's name was Eli Whitney. We all know who Eli Whitney is. He's the inventor of the cotton gin. The cotton gin became the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Now, we talked about the Owen Thomas House being a part of that Telfair Academy of Arts and Science, that art museum. It is right here as you go 1 block up. That is Oglethorpe Square. It's on the west side of Oglethorpe Square. And as we turn here on our right, you'll see Leopold's Ice Cream. Leopold's Ice Cream was started in 1990 by 3 Greek brothers. They had a secret recipe, they said, it's supposed to be the best ice cream around.
Okay.
I have had people get on board and tell me it's absolutely delicious. So this is our stop. Now over on the left here, that is our Savannah River. Savannah River is a natural boundary between the state of Georgia and the state of South Carolina. But what you see across the way there, that is Hutchinson Island. There's another bridge that goes on over to South Carolina. The Hutchinson Island is still a part of the city of Savannah, our convention center, the Western Resort Hotel. There's condos and new offices that were built over the last couple of years. Now, we talked about the ferries that the city of Savannah provides for rides on the river. If you look over there, you'll see an orange and green ferry. That's one of them. And one of the docks that you go to is it's going to be up here. It's called the Waving Girl Dock. Oh, let me get off these tracks. There we go. All these buildings, they all used to be cotton warehouses. We were the largest exporter of cotton here in the United States. Our biggest company that bought the cotton was England. They were kept here in Great Deal that time. So coming up on the right is our stop as well. It is the Waving Girl statue. The Waving Girl statue on your left here, and the old Pirate House is up on the right, up on the bluff. These squeaks. All right, and the bluff base are about a half a story up. That's a very prominent feature. The first house built here was this one on your right in 1809. You'll see the yellow color. You'll see the wood siding, the black shutters, and that block base. Actually, that house is for sale today. You have a cool $2.5 million laying around in the trunk of your car. You can buy your house, your very own house in the Columbia District here in Savannah. Again, because we are national landmarks as well as other state and local landmarks, what you can and cannot do in a historic district is very regulated. And so if you make any changes, bless you, you make any changes or build anything brand new, you have to fit exactly the history you're building in. So they did. This house, the exact same yellow color, the wood siding, the black shutters, even down to the block base, matches that 1809 house exactly. The house was built in 1997, almost 200 years later. Now, that's how we keep our history alive. We realize sometimes you have to build something there, but it's going to match the history exactly. Now we're coming to stop 13, the Isaiah Davenport home. Davenport was a master carpenter. He built houses for